Sarah was browsing the yard sale on a crisp October morning. Amongst the discarded furniture and forgotten trinkets, she saw an antique mirror with an aged wooden frame, slightly cracked and weathered. It was old, the glass rippled slightly, distorting reflections just enough to make her uneasy. But she didn't listen to that feeling. But she decided to buy it anyway and asked the old woman, "Excuse me, how much is this one?" The old woman replied, "Oh, that one. You can have it for free, dear. Just be careful with it." Sarah hesitated. Free things always come with a price. Something about the woman's voice felt wrong. But the mirror looked old, antique, maybe even valuable if she cleaned it up. She loaded it into the trunk of her car, not noticing how the old woman watched her drive away without blinking her eyes. The mirror fit perfectly in her bedroom, standing tall against the wall across from her bed. She cleaned it that afternoon, rubbing the dust away until the reflection became crisp and clear. The first night, she noticed something strange. Her reflection moved, but just a fraction too late. She frowned. No, that was silly. It was just a mirror, but the reflection seemed delayed, only by half a second, as if her movements took a moment to register. Maybe she was just tired. She turned off the light and crawled into bed, but as she lay there in the dark, a thought wriggled into her mind like a splinter. Hadn't her reflection been smiling? The following days were filled with a growing sense of dread. She began testing it, moving her hands slowly to observe the reflection's reaction. The delay was undeniable, a fraction of a second, but enough to create a subtle, unsettling disconnect. One evening, scrolling through her phone, she glanced up and froze. Her reflection was already looking at her. Then it smiled, not a friendly smile, a wide, grotesque grin, stretching beyond human limits. She screamed, scrambled for the light. When the room was bathed in light, the reflection was normal again. But the memory, a chilling testament to the mirror's dark secret. She couldn't get rid of it. An unseen force, a morbid curiosity, kept her tethered to it. The next night, Sarah woke up to a sound, gentle, deliberate. She sits up in bed. The tapping grows louder. Tap, tap, tap. She grabs her phone, turns on the flashlight, and aims it at the mirror, and then she saw it. The tapping wasn't coming from her side. It was inside the mirror. Her reflection stood on the other side, its pale hand pressed against the surface. Lips were twitching, forming that same wide, hungry smile, the smile that promised pain, that promised violation. Her breath caught in her throat. Then, the reflection moved its lips, forming those words, "Let me out. Let me out." Sarah screamed, a loud, desperate cry that echoed through the house. She didn't wait. She ran. She sprinted out of her bedroom, her heart pounding. Down the hall, into the living room, she collapsed onto the couch, shaking. She turned on every light. The lamps, the ceiling lights, anything to keep the dark away, as if the glow could push back the darkness that had seeped into her world. But deep down, she knew. The light couldn't save her, not from the eerie thing in the mirror. Sarah didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. The night stretched on, endless and suffocating. And then finally, morning came. Sunlight poured through the windows, casting a warm glow over the room. A fragile sense of relief settled over her. But the fear never left. It lingered, gnawed at her, a quiet whisper in the back of her mind. Because deep down she knew this wasn't over. The next night, her phone buzzed at 3:13 a.m. Sleepy and disoriented, she reached for it, but when she saw the sender, her breath caught in her throat. The message was from her own number. A cold wave of fear crawled up her spine. Her hands trembled as she tapped the screen. One message, just 2 words. "Turn around." She wasn't sure if it was fear or if someone was already standing behind her. She didn't turn, she wouldn't. Instead, her shaking hands gripped her phone. And then she switched to the front-facing camera, standing right behind her, but it wasn't her. The reflection's lips curled into an impossible grin, too unnatural, and those eyes, black, empty, starving. Sarah stood frozen, terror gripping every inch of her body. She tried to run, but the reflection reached out. Its hand slipped through the mirror, as if the mirror was no barrier at all. She opened her mouth to scream, but the sound never came. The reflection's cold hand clamped onto her wrist, and then it pulled. Her scream was swallowed by the darkness as she was ripped from reality and dragged into the abyss beyond the mirror. Next morning, Sarah lies on her bed, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. The fear from the night before felt like a distant nightmare, nothing more than a trick of the mind. She stepped in front of the mirror, running her fingers through her hair. She smiled, just a normal smile. But then, she lifted her hand, and her reflection didn't move. Sarah stepped forward and knocked, but the sound was muted. She wasn't in her room anymore. She was inside the mirror, trapped, a prisoner in the reflection's world. There was no way out.